Pastor Joel, Union Lutheran Church, a decent man, a spiritual man, a beatboxing man,
Yes, sir.
a singer. So tell me of your what's going on now with all this stuff with you're doing at Union. What's going on with that? Let's start with that.
So what about Union? What are you looking for? Like, what are we doing?
Like what's going on because of COVID and all that kind of stuff. So
Right. So as we went through, we adjusted real quick, as fast as we could, to finding ways to do everything we were doing virtually or online. It's not virtually, it still happened. It was real. So it's not, made up, but online, together online through live stream and Zoom and things like that. Throughout the year, we've been able to grow our capacity and our capabilities by adding some nice cameras and soundboard and camera switches and all those other things so that we can have pretty smooth transitions and make sure that's the best possible quality that we can do without, totally blowing the bank. But I think right now we do a pretty good job, especially with Sunday morning worships and our other opportunities to provide a great opportunity for people to gather.
Yeah.
Throughout the time, though, we recognize that a lot of our ministries are what we would refer to as kind of essential. The clothing room for people to have free clothes, clothing, things like the food pantry, the breakfast that we serve, things like that, that people rely on for food, clothing, groups like NA, Narcotics Anonymous, or AA that started here over this pandemic. So as a board, which we call our church council, is our board. Our church council said, there are certain things we're going to do to protect people by not having things in person, but there are also things that we're going to do as safe as possible because those are essential ministries that people need for their life.
Yes.
And so we've been able to adjust and react and continue to help serve people throughout this whole year plus now. And now we're trying to do things. We're kind of in a hybrid situation. We have live stream on Sundays at 9, but then we also do a 10:30 outdoor service if it's nice out, where people can come, and we still stay masked up, try to protect each other. We sing and we praise together. And if it's bad weather, though, we do move inside. And if we move inside, only the leaders sing up front. We're all fully vaccinated. And we ask the people in the congregation just to kind of sing real softly or hum along, just again try to protect people. We open up the windows, we make it as safe as possible. So it's been cool to see as some programs have been able to come back, do things in a safe way, but also make sure that people are being served the way that they need to be served, and that we can continue to grow as a community and in those relationships. So a lot going on.
So my thing about Union Lutheran Church, and I've told you this before, it is the closest thing to Jesus that I ever found. Because a lot of people, I think, get it wrong, and this, my opinions on this, but you all don't. That's what Jesus would do. Literally.
Well, I'm not saying we're perfect.
Nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect,
right? So
yeah. So a lot of people don't know this. Maybe not a lot, because but you're like a musician, also.
I am like one.
Yeah. Like you're really like a musician. So here's what I know about you. You're a singer. You're a beatboxer, as I said. You're a bass player. You studied bass, upright, electric. You more upright?
Upright, I studied, yeah.
And electric, it's just kind of like punk.
I picked up.
You garage banded that
one. And other stuff like that, yeah.
And your Judas Priest cover band.
Obviously, yeah.
That's not a good joke.
Totally.
So, aspiring funky bass player.
Yeah.
But music has been a part of a lot of your stuff. And so what is the connection? What do you think the connection is between your musical life and your spiritual life? what does music do? What has music done for you as a kid?
Well,
Tell us some of that history.
Music as a kid, that history, right? So again, this could be all day talking about my music history. My dad is a professional church musician. He is a pastor, but he served his whole career at the Lutheran Seminary in Gettysburg, which now after merger is United Lutheran Seminary. Yeah, Carla Christopher on last time, I believe. She's a recent graduate from there. Pastor Carla, I should say. And he was there for 38 plus years, director of music there. He taught church music. He's professor of worship, things like that. He's a church organist, piano player. My mother is a wonderful musician as well. Well, she learned piano growing up and guitar. Loves to sing and do a lot of different stuff. So,
you have a family band.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Okay, go ahead.
Stop interrupting me, Rod.
All right,
you're killing me here. No, I'm just joking. I love it. All right. So the family. So as early as I can remember, I'd have to sing in church. I'd be up front singing something. And my parents, really helped kind of train us, my brother, my sister, how to sing. So stage fright is not something I've ever really experienced because I've been doing it since I was a little kid. And I can remember then when I was 4 or 5, we had a rule in the house. If you want to play a sport, you have to play an instrument. And so, sports are big in my family, music's big in the family. So you had to pick both. And so I started piano real young when I was going to start t-ball, of course, and soccer. And that didn't last too long. And I went to cello briefly. That didn't last long. But then in first grade, I believe, or kindergarten, first grade, I started trumpet.
All right.
And started playing trumpet and played that up through high school. And then in fourth grade, because my dad and mother were thinking of professional symphonies, when it came out, do you want to be a band or orchestra? My parents put both, thinking trumpet players are in the orchestra too, because in symphonies they have brass. And the orchestra director came to the classroom, pulled me in the hallway and said, well, in fourth grade, you don't have brass in the orchestra, it's just strings. And I said, well, she's like, but you can play something else if you want to. And just stand there in the hallway, I said, well, I'll play the bass. So that's how I started playing bass. Was the orchestra director came down, took me out of class, told me I couldn't play trumpet in the orchestra yet. And I was just like, okay, I'll do the bass. Don't know why, but obviously it's the coolest instrument of all of them.
It is.
And, there's things like the bass face, and things like that. Yeah, and the kind of.
Not to be confused with the rock guy.
Yeah, the bass face. Sometimes you get the fish lips and the stink eye or whatever. And the bass players are obviously the coolest people in the band. So maybe that's why I picked it. I don't know. But I picked the bass in fourth grade and just stuck with it from there. And then that kind of became my main instrument. I had braces that went on and off. And that just, not to toot my horn, I was a very good trumpet player. But the braces thing, that just killed me because it shot my range. And so what I could do with my fingers and what I could do with my mind, I couldn't do with my mouth. And that just became so frustrating, I quit. And I shouldn't have done it, but I did. But because of that, my childhood was also, my dad, he was, like I said, he's an organist. And since he had his professor was his main job, he was free most Sundays. And so he had different positions playing organ in different churches and things like that. So it was very common for me to be shook and awake in the morning to say, hey, you're coming to play your trumpet, or you're coming to play your bass, or you're coming to sing for me today at whatever church we're going to.
All right. And so your dad played all those instruments? Or he's saying that to you?
He said that to me.
Oh, gotcha.
He'd pick me up and say, you're coming with me, because he was going to go play the organ or piano at a church.
Okay, gotcha.
And he wanted to do something with me, so he would wake me up and drag me along. So then I was able to sing in choirs, of course. I sang in my dad founded a early music choir called the School of Cantorum at Gettysburg. And it does early music, early church music, Baroque music, and even earlier. So I started singing in that, and I think it was in 9th grade. And then of course, just in worship in general, worship is the work of the people, so we're singing in worship all the time. And So that's kind of the real basic history of how I got into music. Another thing we did when I was in high school is started playing Civil War music. I grew up in Gettysburg, so that became a thing. Our church started doing a Civil War program because the church itself was used as a hospital during the battle.
Mhm.
We started doing a program when I was in school with that. And then, as you said, there's a family band, which I don't play with as often anymore, just being a pastor and a basketball coach and having 2 kids. Very busy life, but fill in every now and again. They play Celtic music, so it's called Cormorant's Fancy.
Right.
And we do Celtic music. And then the Civil War band is kind of morphed into a Civil War / American folk music. That's called Dearest Home.
All right.
My mom's the leader of those 2 groups, and she holds that all together. And I get.
Did your mom train you? Did you get like for singing? How did you develop your vocals?
Yeah, both my parents.
Okay.
My dad especially has more of that background in terms of being a professor of music and really studied in Germany for a year and lots of other places after college. So he's got a lot of training in kind of professional music.
Mm-hmm. So now in your teenage years, electric bass, you played, you did the pickup band. You did a lot of that too.
Yeah, I mean, I had friends, and I started playing electric bass, so I could play in like in the jazz band and stuff at school, starting in middle school, and then I had friends that I liked to play, and there were 2 friends, the Macaulays. They were brothers, 1 a year older, 1 a year younger, so I was kind of right in the middle. And the one played drums, the other played guitar, I played the bass. So we would just get together for fun every now and again and just play when we could. And we did a lot of Beatles songs. They were big Beatles fans. I really didn't know about the Beatles, but they loved the Beatles. And so we did a lot of Beatles songs, and then we played, a little Nirvana here and there and some other just crazy stuff that we hear on the radio. And so that was a lot of fun. We never played anywhere. I was just to get together and play for our sake of ourselves, and show up at other friends' houses to do stuff as well, jam out or things like that. But nothing real official,
So you're in college, and then somewhere along the line you're introduced to hip hop. So
sure, I mean,
your taste, you did Civil War music, you did folk music, you did old
American folk music, stuff like that.
Yeah. But
you
also
church music.
Yeah. But then you also turned to hip hop.
Yeah.
So what and then you're the only pastor I know who can beatbox.
I'm sure there's more out there.
I doubt it.
The beatbox, and here's another thing. I was in the a cappella group, of course, in high school. So
you were the beatboxer in the a cappella group.
I was one of them. Yeah, there was another guy that did some depending on the song, but I did most of them. And so that's really where I got into that. I became a big rock cappella fan. Listening to those guys and some other groups. But hip hop, hip hop's something I started picking up. I don't know, middle school, I guess, somewhere around there. I always tell people I'm probably one of the most diverse, back when iPods were a thing, diverse, iPods or listening stations or whatever it might be. The only thing I never was a big fan of was country. I did folk music, but the kind of pop country stuff, I was never in, like the original country stuff, I was never a big fan of myself. The twanginess I was never really big into, but but everything else, from, like you said, early church music, Gregorian chant, to hip hop and Jurassic 5 and Mos Def and Talib Kweli and DMX, who just died recently, and Snoop Dogg. I was a big Snoop Dogg fan still. I don't know. It was just something that we picked up with, and really enjoyed just the rhythms, the beats, and
so that is we've discussed this before. It's like, what do you think the link is? Your versatility with getting in with people. You said you never had a problem with stage fright, but getting in with diverse people, you pull that thing out, and that's like a uniter.
What's that?
The
My
beatboxing, yeah. The fact, you know what I mean? I wish I could do it.
That's what I mean. A lot of kids here in the city and down around the church, and they're always a little, you look at me, I'm wearing my pastor gear right now. You just think I'm kind of a uptight white guy, right? Who, or whatever. I mean, the beard helps, I think, and I try to get a nice haircut every now and again. But, it helps with breaking down barriers, like you said. Just pull that off.
Beard always helps with that.
The beard always helps. Not purple. It's not purple.
Well,
but it's got to get white first before it's purple. So,
I got white there too. That's horrible.
My bad. My bad.
So,
there we go.
So the link between the whole spiritual, what do you think music, where is music in the whole call to worship for you? Where do you see its purpose in that?
There's a great quote out there, and I'm going to stop you real quick, Rob, because you got to go into your post and make it public. It's right now, it's just locked on friends. So it's hard to share it out. I mean, I know you're embarrassed talking to me, and that's fine. I get that, but whatever. I think it's private. Let me see.
What is going on? All right, I got this. Now we are public.
See it. Yeah. Because I shared it a couple places, and I'm like, wait, there's no video there. It's because
I'm a jerk.
Because you're trying to hold me back.
Yeah, that's what I do.
You hold people back. That's your.
Yes.
That makes me you. It's going to be a big. Hold everybody back.
Big.
You shouldn't feel so threatened, Rod. You're a wonderful musician. You should be okay with that.
Yeah. So sorry, our people here.
So yeah, I'm gonna reshare some stuff. I'm awkwardly looking at my other screen as I try to share it out. I'm gonna make this work now. It's gonna be beautiful. It's still showing up that it was private. I'll have to switch it afterwards. I'll share it when we're done. All right, go for it.
So music and music's function in the spiritual and the in your spreading of the word, or even putting you in the right place to accept stuff. Like I see it as meditation. I see it as a what it's like. What is your story?
Well, I mean, music's a powerful emotional trigger, right? It triggers emotions very well. So there's dangers and there's good to that, right? You can use music to manipulate people, and that's never something we want to do. We can try to manipulate their senses, their emotions, and that's never a good thing. But for me, music and spirituality, there's a great quote out there. I think it's one of those made up quotes that they attribute to Augustine, but he really didn't say it. Yeah. But it's great. It says, the person that sings prays twice. That's just like a real powerful. If you're singing your faith, you're singing your prayer, you're praying twice. It's like twice as powerful as just speaking. And so I try to use my musical ability the best that I can, my talents the best that I can, to help enforce, what I believe, or to try to inspire others. I use it when I lead worship. I sing during worship, I chant during worship, and I think I do a good job of that. And but also like to sing in other places. You had the picture of me on this event page of me singing downtown at down New York Square for a light up night.
Yeah.
That's always an honor to be able to do that with Matt and Pastor Carla to help celebrate that great night. Sing at different rallies that I've been invited to, protests, things of, but rallies and organize, opportunities to come together as community for prayer, vigils, things like that. It's an
Mhm.
opportunity for me to help lead and worship and add an element. I like listening to music, kind of get me focused sometimes, but it doesn't have to be church music. It can be anything really.
Yeah.
I try to listen to a lot of different styles of church music as well to help me grow in that sense of listen. And there's plenty of songs I'll listen to that I'm like, nope, don't like that one, or I don't like the words especially. That's what's real big for me when it comes to spiritual music and Christian music, is I have to agree with what they're saying. There's so much Christian music out there that's, in my opinion, just garbage.
I think one of the first things I remember meeting you, you said that to a friend of ours. We had a meeting, and you said that you're just weird. I don't like that stuff.
Yeah.
Which is
we do a wide range in worship. We do a lot of contemporary stuff. We do gospel. We do jazz. We do a lot of things in worship. And there's a lot of good stuff in all those genres.
Yeah.
But there's also bad stuff. Just stuff that's sending messages that we don't agree with. Messages of kind of putting the onus on us, or judgment, or kind of this idea of trying to escape the world, or I don't know, just a lot of stuff where we say, no, God's love and grace is a gift. It's freely given to us. I don't have to accept God or accept Jesus, because Jesus has already accepted me, right? God initiates the relationship. It's not up to, God's not sitting on the sideline going, ooh, let me play. No, God's involved in all of our lives, whether we recognize it or how we recognize it. It's not something that we have to accept in order to make it true, because that puts the work on me. And Scripture tells us that, it's a gift, that it's not based off works. It's a gift so that nobody can boast. So nobody, holds that over the kind of self-righteous people, I'm better than you because I do this or that. That's not what it's about. Another great quote that we often talk about from Martin Luther is the Reformer is, God doesn't need our good works, right? God doesn't need me to do good works to somehow benefit God. But the quote finishes by saying, but our neighbors do. So we believe in doing good things and helping and loving our neighbors because that's how we relate with each other. It's not to try to get bonus points or God points or get extra things or something.
That I can agree with.
Right? Because, a lot of people treat God like Santa Claus, in my opinion. If I'm a good kid,
I'm going to be good. I'll get lots of toys.
Yeah, I get lots of blessings. And for that guy over there who's having a really crappy year or day, it must be because he's on the bad list. Like, that's not how God works. God isn't Santa Claus. God's love is equally for all of us. And that's why you can see on my screen here. We're big into welcome, inclusion, and celebration. We're what we call reconciling a Christ congregation. Doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, whom you love, how you identify, color your skin, whatever. Doesn't matter. God includes all of us. There's not a divide there. And so we like to include everybody.
Is that a relatively new kind of attitude in the Christian church?
Yeah, I would say, I don't know how new you want to make it. There's always been people who
I would say Christ was always about that.
Yes, Christ is always about how do we bring the marginalized people back in the community, and how do we build them up instead of and actually tear down tyrants, right? That's part of Scripture too. Christ is going to tear tyrants down, and the last will be first. And the rich will go away hungry, and the poor will be welcome to the feast. Kind of flipping the tables of the way that our world works. And so that's the type of, getting back to your question, that's the type of stuff that I want to make sure is in the music. I want to preach that, and then go sing a song about how God's blessed me because God loves me, and well, that's true, but it's not true that God doesn't love other people as well. Or the other big thing you'll see in a lot of Christian music is rapture theology, or escaping the world, which again, the rapture is not real. That's not in Scripture. That's not in the Bible. That's something that's been made up over the last 200 years. A lot of people believe it. A lot of people like the idea of trying to escape the world, to get away from the problems. But Jesus again shows us the exact opposite. Jesus doesn't escape any issues. Jesus dives head
first into the. He didn't run.
that's what we're supposed to do as a church too. That's what we're supposed to do. So again, that's the music I want. There's a lot of music that make me feel good music. And that's fine. We splatter some of that in, but there's also that call to go out and serve, to love, to be involved, to work for justice and peace and equity, to make sure people aren't hungry, or make sure people have housing and clothing and all those different things. Which gets me back to my other thing I talked about, here at the church, trying to make sure we're still open for those essential ministries. So I'm preaching at you, Rob. You better take control. You better get me off the mic. So.
No, this is your story. That's what I'm saying. Say it.
So yeah, so that's, you talk about music, styles of music. I don't care what style it is. I want to know what the word is.
Yeah.
And what's the message it's sending, and who's it including and who's it excluding. So.
Okay, here's a question for you. Can you find the word in secular music?
Sure.
Okay.
Because again, you can find, like I said, Christ is in the world. God's in the world. Yeah. The Holy Spirit's working in the world. And one of the best things we can do as Christians and help each other learn to do better, because it's a new concept for a lot of people, is seeing God at work around us. Again, a lot of people think about me and God, my relationship with God. Well, how do I see the relationship that God has with the people around me, or creation, or the city, or our small town, or wherever we are? How's God at work there, and where do we see that happening? And that's so I really, that's one reason why I'm not a person that just listens to Christian music. I listen to all types of music. I want to hear what people have to say. Now, there's some bad stuff in there too.
in all styles.
Yeah, in all styles. I'm not a prude when it comes to stuff. I understand, it's there, and I don't just turn it off if I don't like it.
Do you hear any music? You don't preach that these are songs that you should avoid?
No, but I would say listen to it and make a decision on why am I, what are they saying? Why are they saying it? And that was, I go back to my childhood. I used to hate it, but it was a great thing, and something I'm going to do to my kids. My mom, I'd be listening to Eminem, right? I'd be in the office and Eminem's blaring, and she'd walk in and go, "What do you think he means by that?"
Well, my mom said the same thing about Kiss.
So she didn't say turn them off, but
my mom did. My mom forbid a lot of stuff.
Well, weird. My mom didn't turn it off.
Unitarian.
She said she wanted to know that I knew that we don't agree with all those things.
Yeah.
Same with Snoop Dogg, right? There's a lot of stuff demeaning women in there.
Yeah.
And she wanted to make sure that I was aware that is demeaning, and that's, making women just to be.
Yeah. But there's also hip hop that just talks about truth.
Exactly.
In a very
and that was part
intelligent
of the
way.
That was part of the conversation of why are they saying that? What's really being talked about? A lot of Eminem stuff was trying to make a social statement on different things. The way he did it, maybe we don't always agree. But he was poking the bear. He was poking, think about this.
Good for him.
And Dre and all those guys. And the same with the other pop groups, the rock and roll groups too. They're always trying to find ways to poke at something, make you think. And so I think it's important for us to not, and again, that's the whole, I'm not here. I would never tell anybody to try to escape the world, try to protect themselves from the world. But at the same time, we have to know what we're listening to. And the other thing I have to really pay attention to, and I think all of us should, but is, if someone else hears me listening to something. So if someone else hears me listening to a song that's, demeaning of women or whatever it might be, they're going to form an opinion of me that I agree with it.
Or they may form an opinion that it's not true about you too.
They could. Yeah. So that's the other thing when it comes to music is and anything. It could be anything we're watching or listening to, right? Because that's something they agree with. So that's another interesting piece there too. But there's
the other part of this is nope. In my own life, no matter what I do, somebody's going to find fault with it.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
Because it's like we never agree on everything.
Right.
But the idea of, and I in hindsight, it was probably smart of my mom. Like, let's listen to this, and she wrote down all the questionable double entendre that went right over my head when I was a kid, and she asked me what I thought it meant, and I had no clue. And it wasn't in hindsight, like, it was nothing compared to what we've here today. But then at some point she went to this church thing, and it said, if you don't allow your kids to make these decisions on their own and listen with an intelligent mind, and like, is that right or is that wrong, they'll never develop that skill, and either that or they'll just listen to it behind your back,
Right.
and they'll start doing it. So then I was allowed to listen to music, which is, as I said, this is completely weird because as I said, I was raised Unitarian.
The church saved you. There you go. Saved your music.
Huh?
No.
Well, yeah, I think she feared that I was gonna that music was gonna change me.
With a pink beard. Yeah.
Yeah. Way after an age that I should be wearing a pink beard. Music was gonna save me. Music was gonna save me.
Beautiful.
Or music was gonna do some sort of thing that was it's gonna change me. And of course it did. But so anyway. So what is next for Union Lutheran Church?
What is next? Well, like I said, we're starting to kind of figure out what this new normal is. We are continuing to figure out, how are we going to continue to be in the community and invite people in. It's a different time right now. It's this weird in-between time, as I'm calling it, where we're partially back, but partially online. And we have some people comfortable coming back and some people who still feel more comfortable at home, and all that fun. And we have to redefine what certain things mean as a whole, I think, in society of, what does it mean for people to gather online more than in person, maybe? Because those can be legitimate and are, and have been for decades. I mean, I'm at the age, I grew up with technology. I understand what it is to be having chats through AOL or, direct messaging or Facebook Messenger or text messages or whatever. Now we're all proficient on Zooms and
semi-proficient. Yeah. It's a work in progress. Yeah.
And there's ways to have legitimate relationships and conversations with people through technology. And so how do you kind of mold those two things together? And so, like I said, we have the live stream service, we have the outdoor service, and, it's interesting. We get our community is probably 2/3 still online and 1/3 in person.
Okay.
It's different only having 20, 30 people come in person when you were used to 70, 80, 90 people. But they're not gone because they were with you in person, just on technology. And so it's just interesting as we live in this kind of in-between time and what could become more of a new normal of online and in-person stuff. Musically, we keep expanding what we're doing, keep finding new opportunities. Get you in to play with us in church sometimes, and want to get you in to do some things with us. And,
absolutely.
And
I want to get back to the music and wellness.
Exactly. Yeah. You were doing wonderful ministry, here at the church. With the music and wellness stuff, and always finding new ways to try to incorporate stuff with the youth. And we have a new MOVE program here that we're doing with the movement, and they're keeping the numbers low because of COVID, but it's giving the kids a place to be at least, once a month right now. And I know the goal is to get you and others involved with that, as that comes back. And this is a great group of kids. So yeah, I mean, things are coming back. We're doing some things. We have a big Juneteenth event coming up,
Yep,
June 19th. Hopefully you'll be there, and you can help entertain some people.
absolutely.
We'll put some more colors in that beer. We'll make it a rainbow effect. We'll get it rolling.
And get rid of the white.
Yeah, just totally. We'll chalk it if we need to. But yeah, we have a great Juneteenth event come up on June 19th. We have had, community trash pickup. We've had clothing drive. I mean, we've had a lot of stuff going on. There's a big food drive coming up on the end of May. So we'll be putting out more on that to help support the Little Food Pantry. We got Give Local York coming up next week. So we'll be putting some stuff out for there. Encouraging people to make some donations to help us keep doing the ministries we're doing. We got the breakfast coming up on May 8th.
How do you do that?
So that's a grab and go at the moment.
Okay.
And a lot of people, they're really wishing it was inside, but we just can't let people eat indoors yet. Some restaurants have opened up, but it's hard. It's hard to police that, and we feel we're loving our neighbors by trying to do our best to keep the spread down.
Yeah.
So we have not hot dogs. We have, not for breakfast. We have eggs, pancakes, sausage. We have syrup. We have little milk thing, juice things, snacks, granola bars, a bunch of stuff that gets put into a bag. And then people come up to our door on Penn Street, and we give them, we're outside. So they come up to the tables there, and they can grab a bag or two to go. And the clothing room's open, so they can go in there and get clothes if they need clothes. And the food pantry's open too. So if they need groceries, they can get some groceries as well as on with their breakfast. So we try to really kind of hit as much as we can in that one period of time. So that'll be May 8th is our next one. It's the second Saturday of the month from 8 to 9:30. Like I said, we got the big food drive coming in partnership with TC Backer Construction, who we did the big turkey fry with last fall, if people remember that. And then we're doing, like I said, Juneteenth. We're going to have a big block party for National Night Out. We're looking at some other summer possibilities, things like that. So
Positive energy.
Positive energy, trying to be, like I said, we hope to be a Christ-centered, community-focused church. And yeah, there's a lot of momentum we're trying to get back. We kept seeing more and more people getting engaged, and we had a great Saturday event where we kind of visioning for the future, and then a week later everything shut down. And really kind of, that's been the hardest part of COVID, is this sense of kind of like, we were heading full go, right? Everything was rolling, everything was wonderful, and then got shut down. But like I said, we've been able to adjust, and we've survived this pandemic better than I think a lot of congregations and some organizations have. So we're blessed we're happy for that. But we're getting off music now, but that's okay. It's all wrapped up, all wrapped into one. So.
All right. Well, thank you, Pastor Joel.
Thank you, Rob.
And as I said, it's like next steps are for me, because I want to get back to how do we make music and wellness, bring that back together. That's my next. Yeah.
Get that back. Get you back in the building. You can teach me some more funky bass.
That's right.
And we're encouraging people to get vaccinated too. We held a vaccination.
I get my second vaccination next Friday. So
good.
All right.
Good to go. So,
yes, sir. Thanks so much. And I will be seeing you. Union Lutheran Church, Pastor Joel. Matt Wenzel.
Yeah. Matt Wenzel, musician. Yeah.
Yep. He's a wonderful keyboard player. He doesn't just. He's like the best of all worlds.
Yeah. And he even plays a mean nose flute. So.
Yes, but he's no good at guitar. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, but he does play accordion. So.
Yes. So that makes up for it in some way.
You need a new polka band. You're good to go.
Yeah. All righty. See you then.
All right. Thanks, Ryan.
Bye.